Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another Last Epoch dev stream. As usual, I'm your host, Mike. Hello. Glad to be back, everybody. And thank you very much, Spike, for the 25 months. Much appreciated. Kick things off very nicely here. All the streaming stuff that we get from stream, all the stuff we get from stream goes directly to charity. Our charity currently right now is the Trevor Project, so that's right above my head all the time. Yeah. How's it going, everybody? How you feeling? I'm feeling good. I had a great week. I don't know, it wasn't really anything major that happened this week. It was just a nice week. Just stuff kind of went well. It's a good week. Hope everyone had a similar week. Or better.
Easy. Too easy.
If this is your first time here, welcome. Glad to have you with us. I am a developer for Last Epoch, and I like to play Last Epoch. So I'm here to answer your questions and play a little video games while I do it. That's about it. I am playing a Burning Dagger Marksman at the moment. Build made by my buddy Matt. Thank you very much. We're currently my goal. So I don't think I've ever come close, like not even remotely close, to killing Aberoth on stream with the stream character. So like this, put things in perspective. This is my entire. If I were to like go to the character select screen right now, all you would see is this character. And so I don't spend a lot of time playing on like the live servers. Each season, it's kind of just like what I do on stream, and then like a little bit of extra stuff here and there after hours sort of thing. But most of the time that I spent playing is like on the development servers and the test servers and things like that. So ooh, 2P examples, don't hate that. So I never really come close to actually completing high tier content on streams, but I kind of want to do it this cycle. I kind of want to try and do it. I don't know if I'm gonna just switch to Falconer and take the easy road or not. We'll see. But I do know this build is definitely capable of doing it. So I could just buckle down and get some better gear and do it. So I'm quite enjoying it. Any juicy spoilers? Any juicy spoolers today? I do have two images. I might show them together. I don't know. They're kind of one thing, but we'll see. Maybe I'll split them up. They're gonna be very out of context though, so you won't know they're juicy really. I was using that to to envy. You can see there. We're still working on a red ring. It'll happen one of these days. Ooh. I do like how long those will just sort of sit there. Don't know if we have Kane feeding me questions from YouTube at the moment. Do affixes have any weights when rolling them with chaos glyphs, purple crafting, or slamming items purple plus uniques? Are some normal affixes more likely to roll than other normal affixes? I see minion health and throw damage a lot. Yes, there are different rarities of affixes. I kind of think it's just like rare or not rare type rarity though. I don't think it's that granular. Could be wrong on that one. A lot of times with things like this, it's there's like some element of confirmation bias that happens to make it feel worse than it is. Not always, but sometimes. Deicide Lands. Great name. Oh wait, where? This is a cemetery. What am I doing? Alright. If you have any questions for me, please feel free to ask. We're gonna have a pretty light stream today, so I'll be happy to go a little bit more in depth than usual. But if you do have any questions, please put @LastEpochGame in the chat. I'll be happy to answer it. And yeah, Infernal Odin, great name by the way. If you're looking for more details on that, you can ask in the Ask the Devs channel in Discord, and I can actually look it up. Problem is that if I look it up on stream, I'll show a whole bunch of stuff that I'm not supposed to show. And then I get in trouble, and then I don't get to do this anymore. Alright, affixes have a reroll value like uniques is decently granular. It is, eh? Okay. Are they each just rated? This might be one of those things that actually is just listed on Last Epoch Tools and Tongue Lab and all those places. See if we can find it really quickly. Yes, okay, yeah. They each have a reroll chance that's listed. Most of them are listed as common. Yeah, okay, here we are. How do I post this in chat? There we go. This link, you can see them and others like it. Hello, Mike! Are the seasonal mechanics still be usable in next season? Yes. There are no mechanics currently in the game of 1.2 of season 2 and all of its mechanics and all of its glory. Nothing is leaving when season 3 starts. So all of the mechanics that you're playing with, all of the things you're interacting with in season 2 will still be there in season 3. There's very possibly certain like individual nodes and like maybe items and things like that that could change, and so you might not see everything exactly the same, but like the cemeteries and the tombs and all that stuff like that's not going anywhere. Oops, not that one. When Mike doesn't know his hotkeys perfectly. Y, not T, it was right beside it. This is all sticking around, it's not going anywhere. Got lots to do in here still. Yeah. All that stuff will still be here next season. It's one of those things where we'd like adding new cool stuff to the game, and we don't like taking away our hard work from the game. You know? And until there's sort of this, like, I guess, systems overload, it's not something that we're really interested in removing mechanics from. Because especially before season 2, one of the, even now still we do get this feedback to some degree, but much less so, which is nice, is that people are just like, they want more stuff to do. They want more options, more things they can do, more mechanics to engage with, more. And, you know, if we time gate some of these mechanics at this stage of our mechanic offering splendor, it will you know, it'll probably go below that line again. All right, when the new season launches, should we expect new Twitch drops like this season? Yes. Is it something that you want to do regularly with each season? Yeah, I think that's a very easy thing to do. As far as as I can just like open my YouTube stream. You just open it so I can get chat from there. Yes, we are live. There we are, and I'm watching myself. Mute myself now. Oh, that's weird. Can I just chat? Can I pop chat out? Pop out chat. Hey, hey, look at that. We're learning. Put it right beside. Yeah, I can do both. All right. As long as I don't click on this, I can scroll both. Okay, perfect. Kane's just a little bit delayed. He'll be around in a bit to help out. And there's not too many people here today, so it should be easy to keep up with it. You get the intimate experience. Can't even say it with a straight face. What was I talking about? Twitch drops. Yes, we'll do Twitch drops next season. Twitch drops are so. I think one of the key reasons we managed to get Last Epoch like off the ground and running was because like streamers came and like played the game and promoted the game and that sort of stuff, and we try and do as much as we can to partner with streamers to like promote the streams and the like help the people that helped us type thing. And Twitch drops feels like a really clear-cut way to do that. And also just like it's also good marketing. Like it helps get the game in front of more people. It helps promote more streaming, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, we love Twitch drops. Right. Thoughts on more bleed unique affixes? Yeah, so I think there's something I've been really trying to find a way to incorporate into the game recently. Is so one feedback we get a lot is that a lot of our dots feel very similar. So like bleed, the way you build for bleed and ignite, especially those two, and poison gets this feedback too, but I would argue that it is a little bit different. But they have a very samey feel to them, where it's the situations that you use them in are the same, and you kind of just want to stack as many as you can and attack as fast as possible type thing. So I've been trying to find ways to incorporate new mechanics into, and this is not just me, this is the game in general. I've been trying to find new ways to incorporate mechanics into the game where you can how do you say it, like use similar themed dots, maybe new types of dots that are like themed around physical bleeding style, but have them behave differently in different situations, or have mechanics that scale off of it in ways to make the gameplay a little bit different and the build path a little bit different. So yeah, we're looking at ways of working with ailments a little bit better to make them more interesting. This is about as vague as I can be on that. Right. Jump over and grab a YouTube question here. What are some underperforming skills that you personally would like to see brought up closer to other skills? I think there's like ones that I really wish were doing better personally. I'm not saying these are the worst performing skills, but ones that I like that I wish were performing better. Companions, several of the companion skills. I'd love to see Sabretooth and Bear and Scorpion and Raptor doing just better in general. I know they all like there's ways you can build lots of those, but I'd love to see more variety, more options. Sabretooth's probably the one I want to see the most from a personal preference standpoint. Any chance of making it so that all 1 LP items can be upgraded at a T3 Temporal Sanctum? Very unlikely. It's not about the, so it doesn't limit based on the number of LP it has. It's the unique items level that changes where it can be upgraded or not. And that's likely to stay. That's a nice combo of mods. Do we want to stretch this down a bit? Go up this way. So we're going anyways. let's, I don't know, let's put, I like one of these here. Put one of these out. Do a boss maybe? Yeah. Probably don't actually need that many before I can just tempt the boss. Do a draw queen. Of course it connected that way. Whatever. You have some fun with that. No problemo. I like that. Speaking of raptors. Already suggested on the Discord forum, but I wanted to take your take on considering idle bags that have different bag inventory shapes. Oh, I see. Yeah. Even some that allow more or less different shapes of idles. Weaver bag could be random open slots, and the bag of inventory more of a suggestion than a question. So yeah, I think what this question is asking is changing the shape of this inventory slot here. Because so for those of you that don't know, in the back end, this actually is a 5x5 grid. All of the item multi-item slot containers. The actual term they use, multi-item slot containers, they all have a fixed like a rectangular grid. So it's an X by Y grid, and then with this one in particular, what we've done is we've just literally put a visual blocker in front of it so you can't click on it, and there's code in there to prevent it from being used. But yeah, so those slots do exist under the hood, and they could be used. So we could, and something that I've teased at before is changing the blocker configuration of this so that different sets of like maybe making it so that there's like this one's blocked off and this one's blocked off, but this one's open and this one's open, and it changes the types, like the different number of different sizes of each idle that you can fit in there. And that sort of reconfiguration and minor changes are things that I think could help keep the game feeling a little bit more interesting long term for players who are playing season to season. And it's a very low lift. It's not a huge change, but it's like just enough that it changes things a little bit and keeps things a little bit interesting. So it's just not quite the same every single time. So things like that are stuff we're definitely interested in doing. I can't say I've seen any of that coming for season 3. So I do like the idea. It's something we've talked about before. All right. Instead of resetting the mastery, is it possible to save it a preset and switch between them with all the items and masteries? Ah, yes, the D3 armory question. We are not interested in making a quick switch, full scale template switch option in the game. It's something that gets brought up every once in a while, but it's just not something that we're really interested in doing. Yeah. Right. Hey, Mike, is there a limit to how many times a lizard split chain can happen when a lizard spawns more lizards? And how many lizards is your record? Mine is 19. Oh, 19's a lot. I haven't counted a specific record. I would say 19 is very high. I don't know if there is a limit, actually. I doubt there's a limit. It's one of those things where it's like, mathematically, it will just naturally like converge to 0. So it's, and the chances of it going really wild are so low. And when it does, there's kind of a diminishing returns that happens on it because you can only pick up so many things. That like it's not the sort of thing I can see us putting a hard limiter on, just because it doesn't really feel like there's a need for it. And we like things where it's like, I just kept going. Oh my god, can you believe it happened again and again? You know, that's the sort of stuff we like. So, right, bounce back and forth here, see if we can find another one. You mentioned sound is getting an upgrade last week. Yeah, can you elaborate on this? Yeah, so we're always looking at changing basically every department for the game is always trying to improve the game as much as possible. You know, it's I say sound's getting an upgrade. I mean, sound gets upgrades every single time, but there are some pretty big changes to sound coming. That someone like me who's not very knowledgeable when it comes to sound, when you just play the new one without hearing the old one, you kind of go, yeah, that sounds great. I don't know what's different. But then when you play them side by side or back to back, you go, oh, I get it. It's that type of thing where it feels better. And I have nowhere near enough education on sound systems to tell you why it feels better or how it feels better. but it feels better. Maybe we should get one of the sound guys on to explain it better. But basically, the giving more control to the sound engineers for like how, like which sounds take priorities, how often sounds are played. They use the term the mix a lot, which I think is just like how certain sounds blend together, and when different sounds from different categories are being played simultaneously, how they are how they're like given priority over one another and that sort of thing. So there's a lot of great stuff happening there, and it does sound and feel a lot better. And I've noticed it a few times since we switched over that system internally, where I can I'm playing the game on stream now, and I'm like, oh yeah, I can hear the bad things happening now from time to time. Mostly around a lot of it's around abilities and how ability sounds happen, which is something that we probably get as far as our sound feedback goes is usually the low point. I'm sorry, I wish I had a more knowledgeable answer to give you on sound side of things. That's a weak point for me. A lot of exalteds for nothing, eh? All right. Hi, Mike. How happy are you and the team with the performance of champion affixes? I'd say performance is an interesting question. So I really like what they do overall, and I think the system's I'm really happy with the system. I think we may have rushed it out the door a little bit in the sense of like what's available, and the balance of it a little bit might be a little bit weak on a few sides. So I'm really excited for the chance to expand that system, but overall very pleased with it. You know, sometimes it's like just because something's maybe not as a like sitting in every top tier build, here's a good example. The set system changes that we did. There are very, very few set items still being used in high tier builds. Having said that, very happy with how the system rework is panning out. You know, so it's giving us space to work in set items again, which I love. But I think it's the champion affixes are, I think, a good example of something that's going to continue forward nicely. Oh. Well, we're just gonna turn chat off for a bit. Make sure that doesn't scroll up the screen. If I wasn't on stream, probably would ban that person. But there's stuff I have to do that. Click all the shrines. Thank you for the spawn timing, champion. That was perfect. I'm really excited to get the two portals in one. So this is, I've talked about this a few times, that when you complete an echo without a special portal MTX, it will tell you if the portal's completed or not by the color of the portal. That doesn't work with any sort of cosmetic on. There's something good there. Okay, let's get this nemesis rolling. Oh yeah. I know it's not that big of a deal, but yeah. All right. Yes, it's a one-handed axe. All right. Any plans to balance shield versus dual wielding? Yeah, I mean we're always looking at the game balance in general. So yeah, like everything's on the table. If you think that there is a balance change you'd like to see, head on over to our suggestions channel or feedback. Either one usually works. Right, that was close. Next question. Hey Mike, how many EHG developers were able to kill Uber Aberoth, and will there be changes to this fight to get it more in line with the rest of the game? I mean, Uber Aberoth is designed to be like very hard, like the hardest. It's the hardest content in the game, is what it's supposed to be. I mean, apart from pushing corruption to an arbitrarily high number, it is the hardest thing. So I'm not sure. Like, I assume the question is like, is asking like, is it too hard, and are you gonna nerf it, sort of thing. No, probably not. I think having Aberoth as a reasonable expectation to kill, if you sink your teeth in and are going about it, like working at it, most players should be able to beat Aberoth, and I think that's where it's sitting. But then being able to kill Uber Aberoth is very much a stretch goal of only extremely highly tuned characters will be able to do it. Like certain builds will struggle very, very hard to be able to do it, even with perfect gear. I think that's fine. I think that's good. It's very much a like stretch content. Like it's aspirational content. It's like those like final extra bosses. Play Mario RPG, show my age here. They did release it recently, but like Culex. You're not beating that with a casual build. It's just not happening. Alright. Since Atera's design is changing, will their health bar reflect that? Will their health bar reflect that? I don't know. Maybe? We've never fought Atera in game, so I don't know why they'd have does Atera ever show up with a health bar? I don't think Atera ever shows up with a health bar. Atera's never been a character. No? Is this like a trick question to try and get me to be like, oh, you're gonna see Atera with a health bar or something like that? I might be missing something here. Oh, the last question asking how many EG developers were able to kill Uber Aberoth. I have no idea. I mean, like, all the QA staff that worked on it, at least. All right, any ETA for Acolyte changes? The next, I think we're done with like content changes for most of the game until season 3 comes out. There might be like small things here and there, but like the next time you'll see major changes or features additions or balances or anything like that, like on any sort of significant scale, will be season 3 start. And we don't have an ETA for that yet. We do have an internal target that's looking good still. but we don't have a fixed date that we're ready to talk about yet. All right. Hi. Will there be more damage conversions for necro minions? More overlapping and different minions and skill change damage for easier scaling. Some. There's certain elements that we really try and steer clear of with each class. So like we don't put much. There's almost no void damage in Acolyte at all. There's almost no lightning damage in Acolyte at all. I think of exceptions here. So like most of them will stick to like physical, fire, poison, necrotic, and cold. Yeah, which is quite a big spread. Like Acolyte in general has a fairly large spread, and yeah, there's some minions that don't hit all of those notes, and that's intentional. But yes, we are looking for new conversions across the board in all classes. Not strictly just with this update coming up, but in general, that is the sort of thing that we are looking. We're looking to do is increase the number of conversions available in general, while still sticking within like class. I want to call it like the like the class pie, the element pie. Like I play a lot of Magic because I bring up on stream a lot, but like, you know, you put there's certain things that show up in red most and certain things that show up in blue most, and you know, we definitely have that a similar sort of ideal as far as like elements that fit into each class, and that's the sort of thing that we are looking to preserve. And usually when that breaks is when there's like a new mastery that shows up, or an item will sometimes have small pie breaks. Do you think you could implement a fast movement for a controller like PoE does, where you use your right stick to go across the grid in your inventory? Possible? Yeah, that's the sort of thing that is possible. Please head on over to our Discord to put that in the suggestions channel if you'd like to see it happen. I don't know why I walked past the other rune prison and just like didn't kill it. Wasn't paying attention at all. Alright, more questions. More questions. Is there any way to go back? Sometimes I don't look at the screen sometimes. Is there any way to go back to the last Monolith Echo without having to travel to the island and then click the diamond? Go from Heaven Silk right to the next Echo. Like to not have to walk up to this thing? Like not to come back to this thing each time? Or do you mean like when you're in here? You in between each Echo, you have to come back to Echo of a World in order for it to be able to. The way we do the multiplayer loading, it's necessary to have this exist. This mid scene exist. Yeah. So the short answer is I don't think so. I think that's an unfortunate no. How is your experience with Eternity Cache critical strikes? Talked to many people on chats and no one remembers it happening. Yes, and this is one of those things that we hesitated even saying it existed. When we announced that it was possible, we were very clear to say that it's incredibly rare. Don't expect it to happen. Don't hope for it. It was more of a, if it happens, don't bug report it type announcement, because it is very, very, very rare. I haven't seen one personally doing it. Although kind of a bad example because most of the time where I'm playing without cheating at all is you see on stream, and I don't do a lot of them on stream. Just Stripes, I don't know if anyone asked, but Switch 2 port? Well, we're not on any consoles at the moment, so That's a big stretch. That'd be a big swing. It's sorry, no, it is not on Switch 2. Just to be clear. We are like, so just, I guess I should address the console question in general. We are very interested in still going to console. This is the same answer I give every week, so apologies for if you've heard it a few times. Yeah, we are very interested in going to console. I have no additional information or ETA. When it happens, usual communication routes will happen, all that sort of stuff. There's a lot of things that have to be done to a game to make it ready for multiplayer, ready for console. Lots of things, just in general. Come on, which was the one we just paid a gold ring? Yeah, here. Dexterity is nice, but red ring is nicer. Dang it. But a red ring is nicer. But a red ring is nicer. But a red ring is... Dang it. Should I just throw those in the ground instead of keeping them? My thinly veiled threats towards it meant nothing, apparently. Alright, are we getting more set items in Season 3? I love the set crafting, but feel there's not enough of them yet. Great question. Yeah, I think set crafting, I agree with the sentiment behind this, in that the system's good. We don't have a lot of high tier sets yet. Yeah, there's, we are designing sets to craft, or to put in the game at the moment. I can't say if or how many will make it into Season 3 or not. But yes, new set items is a design discussion that is actively taking place at the moment. I was working on an idea for a new set 45 minutes ago. It's not quite there yet. Any progress on pause for online? It feels so good. It does feel so good to be able to pause online. We do not have any progress on this, I'm sorry. What are the islands in the end of time? They show up after you beat the harbingers around each timeline. They show up, but you can't travel to them. These little islands here? These are always there. These islands are all always here. I know, because I put them there. They're just like meant to be like there's extra stuff there. There's like it's sort of to represent like the instability of the timelines in general. Oh, something I missed here. Oh, ironically, the highlighted message made me not even see it. Sorry about that. Do you know when CT for 1.3 will start? Asking for all blasters. I know we're sort of re-examining how the CT program works, because there's some issues with it at the moment. And we're trying to... It's a really tricky thing, because the CT program has been very useful for us, and like... but it's also caused a few problems, and so we're trying to find a way to, I guess, make that program still feel fun and interesting and engaging, and useful, but not have the same issues it's been having. Because like, from a very selfish standpoint, the CT program is for us to get your help with things, not to give people the ability to prepare for the season. Which I know is a selfish way of looking at it, but it's kind of what it's there for. All right. Would you ever consider adding bosses or enemies of some kind that the community could work together to kill, like a PvE arena or a world boss? Yeah, I think this. Short answer is yes. Would we ever consider it? Yes. Ever considers a real low bar for me to answer yes to. So we've long had the opinion that we want all of the content to be available to be engaged with as a single player or in a group if you want. So if you refuse to play single or multiplayer and you only are ever going to play with just yourself solo in a game, that's the only way you're ever going to play, we want the vast majority of the content, or hopefully all the content, to be available to you. We really like encouraging people to play together, partially because it makes running the game so much cheaper, but also just because, you know, I think it's more fun when you have this shared experience and you can talk about it later with your friends and or even make new friends for like finding random matchmaking online, that sort of stuff. So I think there's a lot of room for we try and leave room for both if we can. And if we were going to do some sort of like server-wide achievement content, I think I'd be more interested in the like Helldivers approach, where it's a like you need 1,000 kills of Uberoth before this time in order to stop something from happening. And if the community as a whole fails to get those kills together, then, you know, like Uberoth grows a new arm or something. You know, I making all this up right now, but my point is that having this like collective goal to work towards as a community is great. Having individual fights where you have to have 40 people there to do it is not something we're super interested in doing. Having said that, now that we have more and more content, putting one of those fights in the game, instead of it being like 10% of the content, it's now 1% of the content, you know? So it's a lot easier for us to justify putting something like that in the game now, where it does force multiplayer to happen. Previously, we've been really against doing that because we didn't want to exclude people, but if there's if there's room for it now, it's more the sort of thing that we'd be interested, I think, in doing. I have such a hard time just standing still and trusting that I'm gonna survive with this character. Like I know that I'm tanky, but I just have a hard time making myself believe it. Don't know why. Come on, there we go. Okay. You know what? We are going to come in here first. Needle. There's one. I don't need to fight this. Hi Mike, have the team considered adding an echo or a mechanic to reroll the item's subtype, but keeping the rolled affixes assuming they're available on both subtypes? For example, rolling a two-handed sword into a two-handed axe or spear. Oh, that's not what I thought you meant. So this is actually rolling the base type, is what we call this, or the super type. The subtype, rerolling the subtype would be changing a like it's here. Let's go gloves. So the type of this item is gloves, and you can see that right here. So this is gloves, and then the subtype is plated gauntlet. So yeah, rerolling the subtype would be like rerolling these plated gauntlets into Champions Crusader gauntlet. Sorry. So it's yeah, that's rerolling the subtype. But would we consider having the ability to change base types? So subtype changing, I think, is more likely than base type changing, because there's a lot more restrictions from base type to base type than there are from subtype to subtype. We can actually guarantee that there's no changes from subtype to subtype if you keep it in the same class requirement. As far as changing the entire base type, that's really a stretch, a big stretch. And we don't have, I don't think we have anything that changes item types in the game at all yet, really. Other than, I shouldn't say that, other than, here we just, you know what we can do? I don't think any of these are remotely good. Should check how many we have first. How many do we have? 43. Let's go for it. So this is the only way we have that changes subtypes in the subtypes in the game. This is the only way, I think. I hope. You kind of do with set crafting a little bit. Not really though. That's different. Come on. We'll get there. We'll get one. We'll get one. We'll get one. We're gonna do this. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be on the very last one, and it's gonna happen. And it's gonna be glorious. We've got to get down to the last one to do it. So we just got to get through all this chaff first. Because what's the point of having it be on like an early one? It's not like I've programmed this specifically to be on the 43rd roll today. And we're gonna keep going until we get there, and it's no problem. It's gonna happen. And I really hope none of these rings are secretly amazing that I'm re-rolling. Come on, we can do it. Let's get. I should answer that question while I'm doing this. What's EHG stand for? EHG stands for 11th Hour Games. Yeah. And there's like little nods to that in the game as well. So like you may notice this. If you're old enough to know what this shape is, and if this is the shorthand, it's the longhand, what time that would be? Yeah. Okay, come on. No, game, don't make me into a liar. No. Okay, so to be fair, because of the odds, we really shouldn't get this. We won short. We did not have enough to reasonably get one. So. That's fine. Grumble. No, it's fine. Oh, these are all going to another tab. No, they're not. Would have been pretty cool to get one though, wouldn't it? Okay, enough lollygagging. We're gonna answer some questions. Sorry about that. Sorry about that detour we took. I just had to do it. Hi Mike, have the team considered adding an echo or a mechanic to reroll? Oh, I answered that, sorry. Any word on when WASD for focus will be updated? It is the only channeled ability WASD doesn't work with. I put in a ticket a few weeks ago. I would expect it to be I would expect it to be season 3 before anything like that happens. Yeah. Hi Mike. Oh, obviously this season has had a heavy focus on Sentinel and Rogue with Heartseeker. But were there any builds that really came out of left field that surprised you and the team? Not really. I think most of the builds that showed up this season were fairly expected. Can we survive this? I think we can. Yeah. Can we just sit here and tank it?
Easy. Too easy.
So we're only at 137 corruption. But we're doing higher than that now. Yes. We are tanky. Kinda. Crit chance would be nice. Need the tank though. Okay, we can always switch it if we want. You know, always just switch it. Well, that was nice. That was lovely. He's on the left side of the health globe. Oh, you're talking about this. I understand that earlier question. So we're talking about the redesign of Atera and how she's looking in the health bar. I thought you meant at the top. I'm just such a silly Billy. Yes, here, redesign of this. I don't know. I haven't seen anything. That's a good call out though. If not, I hope so. If it's not already there, I hope so. Building this HUD was like everything went through so much debate. Like the thickness of the experience line and the distance of between like the left element and the right element and the center and these chain distances, like all like everything was debated so minutely. I'm really happy with how it turned out. If anyone remembers though, the Kickstarter version of our HUD looks incredibly similar to another RPG that's much more prominent on the market right now, and it is wild how similar it looks. And we got a ton of feedback of the like. I think we just like weren't big enough to be able to pull it off type thing. If that makes any sense? And like if we had like been a bigger name in the space where we would have been able to sort of like get away with it. But I'm really happy with how it turned out in the end. So can't complain. Oh, are we getting more set? All right, that's that. Anything on dev's radar for adding prefix, suffix, shard counts into the item description UI under mod ranges, hotkey or something? No. That's something that gets asked every once in a while. They're very disconnected, that information. It's not impossible to do. It's not something that's being worked on. I know I'm pretty sure it's not something that's being worked on, but it is, I think, technically possible. Gotta raise this corruption. Gotta raise this corruption. Because if I can just stand here and tank this, too easy. My character getting okay? I don't go so far as to say good yet, but okay. Wait, are we at okay? I think we are. Bump that corruption up pretty quick here. When will we be able to evolve like Goku into Super Saiyan? Love it. I don't know. Why do ARPG devs like having different kinds of items take up different shapes and sizes in the inventory? It's a good question. We all grew up playing D2. I think that, honestly, that probably is the real answer, is we all grew up playing D2. But from like a can I justify having that as a thing? Yeah, I think it lends to the, like, realism's kind of the wrong word because you're not going for a hyper realistic experience, but it does lend towards that. Like, it's a role-playing game. It is like there's certain elements of like you want certain touches of realism in there, and having a ring take up a different amount of space as a two-handed sword helps with that, where you can like oh, I've got these 20 rings, I can fit them in my pocket, but this gigantic sword, I can't fit 20 of them. And that sort of, that just like little bit of extra added realism, I think, helps just bring you into the game and helps immersion a little bit, I guess is the right word. More questions. Trying to answer them all. This is the first time I've tried to have the YouTube chat open at the same time on stream, because usually got the questions being funneled to me, so I apologize for missing any. It doesn't highlight them properly. Mostly because I'm just looking at the actual YouTube chat like normal, instead of any sort of like streamer mode or something. Alright. Will Acolyte be stronger than Dracula? I mean, So it's a fun, I guess, like thought experiment or something. Ooh, ow. I mean, we don't have like Dracula as a character in the game, and Dracula has such a wide variety of powers that like certain versions of Dracula, yeah, no problem. Other versions, not a hope. Right, when is the date for the new season? Can't wait. I'm sorry, you're gonna have to wait a little bit longer to find out the date. I don't have a specific date. We are still, things are rolling still. We're pleased with the time frame and the progress we're making on stuff. It is, it's a lot, but it's rolling still. All right, I really enjoyed the Imperial Uprising recent reset patch. Any chance of having a mid-season resets as standard feature? I think it's unlikely. It is one of those things where that does, like, it would either delay the next season or reduce the amount of content to the next season. While I'm very pleased you enjoyed it, the reception in general, and it may be, there's other factors in the sense that it was like, because it was so long in between and it wasn't enough content or something, there may be ways we could do it better next time, but the reception in general was much less positive than this question may make it out to be in general. So when we get bad reception on things, we're hesitant to do it again, I think. So we'd have to have a really good reason to do it again, I think. All right. In fight for most infamous, who would win, Diablo or Aberoth? I think Diablo is more infamous than Aberoth at the moment. But I mean, that's like Diablo's. Like I hope we can put that fight that matchup back up again when we've got Oribus as a more of an actual character in the game, and then just a looming evil, an inevitability. Every time I hear that word, I just Family Guy, Stewie. All right. Really want either of those. And I am like out of space, so we're just gonna be really ruthless with what we pick up. Where in the timeline is Carmen? No, let's get this. Someone asked, what is CT? CT is the community tester program. It's sort of our like closed beta system where we have a few people that have early access to the content and give us feedback on it before it's ready to be released. It's very much in a work in progress state, and is not like publicly showable ready yet, but still functional enough that we can get some feedback on how it plays, just to get some initial reactions. Because sometimes when you're working on a big project like this, you can there's certain, I don't know how to say, you get too close to it where you can't see the trees through the forest. You can see the forest through the trees, and there's like individual pieces that you just like overlook. I mean, describing this really badly, but like maybe there's some UI element that because you worked on it, you like click the UI element instinctually, but it's like super not obvious that you're supposed to do that after every run, and you don't know that you have to do this to get your full reward. And people come in and they're just like, they don't even know they're missing it. And when we see other people playing it, you see that they're missing it, and then you can fix it. And so there's things like that we have to kind of get through. Some like fresh eyes. Right. Sometimes when I die to an enemy and the death screen shows me who killed me, but I then question it because I could have sworn it was another enemy. Will there be a fix to where I can correctly see who killed me on the map and also match the death screen, what the death screen says? If you're seeing a mismatch there, make a bug report. I don't know of any bugs regarding this. It's quite possible that you could take almost all your damage from one enemy and a little like another enemy just like finishes you off or something like that. Maybe there's like a dot that was applied to you by an enemy that you've already killed, and that dot finishes you off, sort of thing. After that, like so the enemy that kills you doesn't even have to be alive to still get credit for the kill. If it was like an ignite stack that finishes you off, sort of thing, or a dot pool on the ground or something. And it's possible there's like just a bug there where it's attributing it to an enemy that is alive, maybe, or something like that. So yeah. We always work to fix bugs. Hi, Mike. Evening. Quick question, please. If we get sets and not only, is there any chance of someday to get set slots? More like build slots to be able to switch between builds. Oh yeah, D3 armory question again. We are not planning on D3 armory being a thing in the game. So like just like here's these, you got 3 builds in the game, and pull from a drop down menu to switch your wholesale gear and skills between all of them. That is not something we're planning on doing. All right, a question about imprints, if you're willing to answer. Of course. Can T6 affixes roll up to a T7 based on similar item rules? Yes. What is a friend? A friend. This is a oh my goodness, I almost just like started answering like, wait a minute. It's a very deep question. What is a friend? A friend is someone who I do not have a concise definition of what a friend is. Friend is someone who cares about you. There's much better answers out there than that. Let's go watch a dozen Disney movies and find out what is friendship. Mike, I was not able to find anything on the LE website to contribute with ideas. Yes. So we do our suggestions sections. We have 2 great places to leave suggestions if you'd like. Let's take a quick. I don't want to bring that. It's going to show stuff. Okay, so on our Discord, we have a. I can get like screenshots of it. We have on our Discord suggestions forum. We have a little suggestions forum. It's one of the main categories on our Discord. So yes, if you have suggestions, this is the best place to put it. There's instructions on how to use the system right here. It's the first link. You just kind of add it to whichever category. There's a bunch of other categories, which is great. If you have, I guess, longer form suggestions and you'd like to like start a conversation about that specific suggestion with other players, there's the feedback and suggestions section of our. I guess I could put links to both of these in chat. Of our forums on our website. In both chats. Boom. There we go. Yeah, there are, and that's the forums on the website. You do have to like link your account to access the forums on the website, I think, to post something. Sorry, you can read, but you can't post unless you've linked your in-game account. I think. Not 100% on that. And the Discord allows you just to post regardless. Oh, and anyone in there, even me.
Easy, too easy.
But yes, those suggestions and feedback sections on both the forums and the Discord, we pull from very frequently. I know, like this, it's. I tell people a lot to go put stuff there on stream, in the Ask the Devs channel on our Discord. Like sometimes I'll see someone on Reddit and I'll be like, you should go put this on the official suggestions channel type thing. And And I think sometimes it comes off a little bit like yeah, don't tell me about it, just go put it in the suggestions sort of thing. And it's really more of like where I'm coming from with this is more, hey, I think that's something that might be good. Go put that in the suggestions channel because I'm gonna forget. Yeah, because that's where we pull stuff from. All right. And Heavy with a link immediately after that I didn't see. Thanks, Heavy. Appreciate you. Glyph of Envy changes subtype. It does. Very nicely done. I forgot that. Will there be easier way to use runes on multiple items via forging in the future? Right now feels kind of tedious, as presented by me doing all of those red ring attempts. Yeah, this is something we're working on. Specifically shattering is something we've been looking at for mass shattering or fast shattering. Something like that. Like there needs to be there's tedious repetitive motions, and this is the sort of thing that I would really classify as a quality of life change, where there's this tedious repetitive motion that doesn't require any skill at all, and it's just putting stuff in a box and pushing a button over and over again. Changing that to having like a, I don't know, this button, you control click the rune of shattering, and it makes your cursor into like a hammer, and you just like start clicking on stuff and it pops them. Like that would be a quality of life change that that we are in that sort of category of thing is what we're looking at. I don't know exactly how that's going to be implemented, but we are considering options there. Thanks, Evie, for helping out the person ask questions, which is great. And there's a question by them. Hey, question about Weaver Tree items. Do affixes and tiers matter for items punched into the slots imprinted, or is it just the type of item spawns more? Each one of them's a little bit different, but the general is it's kind of complicated how it actually does the system. So it starts with so it says like, okay, there's an imprint drop is happening. Here, let's go. Let's look at this one's a good example. Okay, there's an imprint drop that's happening, and it says, hey, try to drop this bow. And we start with this bow exactly as it is, and then we go, all right, should we, I don't know the exact order of this, and I'm gonna miss some things here, so I apologize, but I'm just trying to give you an idea of what it's like. Then it goes, okay, should we change it into unique? Yeah, okay, let's change it into unique. It's a bow unique, and it re-rolls that. Great. Should we, and then, no, we shouldn't change the unique. Okay, should we change the base type? Should we reroll the base type? Okay, let's change the base type into something else, and it rerolls that. And then it goes down the list. Should we change the forging potential? Yeah, okay, give it 2 extra forging potential. Great. Should we change the first affix? No, I'll leave it alone. Should we change the second affix? Sure, but let's change the tier of it. Should we change the third affix? Yeah, let's re-roll it so it's different. You know, like, and it kind of just goes through the item and decides if it's going to change individual pieces of the item as it's going. And it was, please don't take that explanation and try and extrapolate exactly what's happening, because I did skip a whole bunch, and but that's generally what's happening. So it can change just about anything, and just about anything can stay the same. And it can theoretically drop an identical item. Let's get some YouTube questions, because I accidentally closed that. There it is. I know that empowered monolith are similar to or like greater rifts, but the problem with empowered is that the reward / difficulty is not really balanced. How does the team plan to balance this? I am unsure which way you mean. Like, because I've seen feedback to both the effect of that the reward is too high and the reward is too low. Which I do find very interesting. Whenever we get conflicting feedback like that, I do find it very interesting. I think that there are certain echoes, especially certain woven echoes, that have really a lot higher reward than they probably should. And there's others that have a lot lower rewards than they probably should. Do I have anything that I know I'd like to upgrade? Morning Frost would be nice. Because why not, right? It's good. Nice. But as far as balancing the risk to reward of everything in the game, that's something that does get touched season to season. And that is something that we are looking at, especially in the transition from regular monoliths to empowered monoliths. That there's a big difficulty spike there. And sometimes that spike's a little hard to overcome. It's a really hard thing to get quite right. And I know I have a tough time in design discussions about and balancing discussions about it, because I think that I have a very twisted sense of this. In that, you know, this comes back to like I'm an old gamer apparently, because you know, that transition from Nightmare to Hell in Diablo 2 was like, it's, unless you're an experienced player, almost always you're getting your ass handed to you. You walk out into the Bloodmoor for the first time in Hell, having just completed Nightmare Bale with reasonably appropriate gear, and you're reasonably appropriately leveled, and you're like, okay, great, time to start the next challenge. And you walk out into Hell and you go, oh, I need to go farm Bale 400,000 times before I have enough gear to do this, really. You know, because it's the difficulty spike is so huge, and I loved that. But I would argue that we get a ton of feedback saying the difficulty spike is too hard from normal to empowered, and I think it's way less of a difficulty spike from Nightmare to Hell. So yeah, there's. Oh, my head was blocking the health club. I'm sorry, I'm just ruining everything. I'm seeing these things I'm doing wrong way too late. All right. I know this question gets asked 100 times. Will we get socketing of some kind, leveling gear, or something similar? Or similar system? You're right. This does get asked a fair bit, and the answer is kind of the same. We don't have any plans to do a socketing system at the moment. We have had many socketing systems that have come very close to getting implemented. One of the mechanics in the Kickstarter was originally going to be a socket system style. Like we've had a lot of socketing systems that have come very close to getting implemented. We've actually implemented a socketing system before, a long time ago, before it was even on Steam, and took it out. So it's in the discussions. The current crafting system is just so similar to a socketing system that it is like it's really hard to kind of justify doing it as like an entirely separate mechanic on top of our crafting system. Doesn't mean it won't happen, but it just needs to be intentional, I want to say. And I mean, in the loosest sense of what a socketing system in some way could be, we're kind of making one in a way. Be the judge of that in a while. It's a ways out still. All right. Will last Epoch come to GOG as DRM free? I can't say no forever. I know there were some rules on because it's been a while since we looked at this. I've not been a part of looking at this sort of stuff since for quite a while now, so something may have changed. I don't know. Last time we looked at GOG as an option, there were certain rules they had on things you needed to do that we couldn't reasonably do. So it was kind of we looked at the rules and went, yeah, we just can't do it, and kind of wrote it off. So I think unless the rules have changed pretty dramatically, it's unlikely. I don't remember what it was that prevented it, but it was something weird. It was something small where I was like, really, that's what's stopping us? I can't remember what it was. It's something silly seeming though. But yeah, it's I'd say very unlikely. All right. What's that? We love the whole set drops. It's so nice with the Circle of Fortune. All right, next question. Will I answer that? I'm playing on Steam Deck offline mode, and there is no way to get to put an item in the egg space in Nemesis on controller. I tried and tried, and I just gave up. Now I don't use. There's no way, really? Use the egg at all? Can this be fixed soon? I am shocked that there's no way to use the egg on controller. Like to the point where I'm gonna. If I see, and I've got 45 minutes left here, if I see another egg, I'm gonna go get my controller and plug it in. And see if it'll work. I don't know if it'll work having plugged it in partway through the game running, but we'll see. Oh no, do I have... Okay. I hope I'm set up enough. Crimson Shrouds that I just put on are helping. The dots. The dots. Lovely. What did we get bumped up to? 256. Love it. This is going to be a big spike in difficulty, though. Big spike. Okay, let's go find some Nemesis. Try and figure out how to do it with the controller. I love the Forgotten Tower Echo. First time I was trying to use knowledge how it is generated in D2, but it seems like it doesn't follow that pattern. Was that on purpose? No, I don't think that was done on purpose. I think the person who created that, I don't think has played a lot of Diablo 2. So I don't think the that I don't think that distinction was intentional. I think it was just there was not a lot of history there to make it function that way. I don't know though.
They won't forget that.
That would be a nice little nod though. I would love that. That would be a nice nod. There's a few of those where you're like, follow the path here, make sure you take the first right, you know, things like that. I do love those little micro optimizations of learning how to do that content super fast and how to like get through a rush super fast, and how you'd like you're doing act 2. And like, if you knew this is one that took me a long time to learn, but if you knew all of the symbols that could appear when you kill the summoner at the end of Arcane Sanctuary, there's when you beat the boss at the end of the Arcane Sanctuary, it gives you a symbol of the true tomb, the true Talrash's tomb, and you would only know that if you were the person being rushed, which tomb was the true tomb, because it would say in the quest log which was the right one after you talked to Kane in town. I don't know if you actually had to talk to him to get that to show up. But anyways, the rusher wouldn't know what that symbol is. But if you look at the wall behind where the summoner spawns, the missing symbol is the true tomb symbol. And then, so if you knew well enough where they were in the zone, you could get to the tomb before the person would have enough time to get back to town to tell you the right symbol. And it was, I always loved like getting to the, like having the TP up before the person was like, it's this symbol. And you're like, I already know. It's a weird flex. But I always love doing that. That was always the like, I've spent too much time doing this, haven't I moment. All right. Yeah, if you have a question you'd like me to answer, please put @LastEpochGame in the question in Twitch, and just @LastEpoch on YouTube, so I know to answer it as a question and not just a chit chat. All right. Do you see one here that people were pointing out? Hey Mike, evening. Quick question, please. If we get sets, and not only is there a chance someday to get sets, oh, I answered this. I must have scrolled. So we're there again. On topic of the HUD, is it in the realm of possibility that you could move the experience bar above the skills? Ooh, because it being below gets cut off by a bunch of the time, and I have to resize last epoch to make it show. I think that's pretty unlikely. If it's like there's a lot of space below it, if that's getting cut off, like something's wrong. Something's wrong with the like how the game's like laying out in the window. Pretty bad there. Eeh. If anything, I've heard calls to remove it completely. I would love to see the ability to replace it with, or add on to it with a like a favor bar. That'd be nice, or a faction progress bar. That'd be nice. What's one thing you can't tell us about? What's one thing you can't tell us about season 3? Yeah, like I definitely can't tell you any of that stuff. Is the release timing at least 2 weeks away from any D4 or PoE releases? I mean, I can't control when those releases are, so maybe. But we ideally, yes, it will be at least 2 weeks away from all of those things. As a hoarder, I want to... Thanks for the heads up on this heavy. As a hoarder, I want to have one of every unique item. Any plans on having a unique or set specific tab, like that one unique stash slot that can be bought, let's say PoE? I'd love to do this. This is not something that we've got like ready to go or being worked on right now, but it is on our list of like stash improvements that we want to do. I think there's basically the way I'd love to do it is by utilizing the imprint system. I think that we could really easily, I should really update these. We could really easily use this imprint system to get, like to record one of each unique item. I even heard something, I'm like, I think that sounds like an enemy. We could use it to record one of each. You know what, I died. What I'm supposed to do when I die is share things with all of you lovely folk. We're just gonna do it all right now because they are related. They're related. I'll talk about those in a second. So we'd love to have, I'd love to have a Grail quest tracker, something that would allow you to, the imprint system would allow us to put the item into the tracker, where you could record what the item is. You'd have a record, you'd have a record of what each item you found is, but you could still use them. So you wouldn't need to, it would be really easy to get them. You could like drop one and you could then craft it or roll it or sell it or all sorts of things, sort of like things you've ever found or things you've ever got in some way. And I think having that would be really positive. I think we could do it really elegantly. So yeah, I think that's on the table. It's on a list. It's not very far up that list, unfortunately. Any plans to look at experimental affixes now that they can't be sealed? Yeah, we're always looking at balancing stuff like that. I think experimental affixes are really interesting. It's an interesting design space. I think there's room for new ones, updating old ones, changing how they interact with other things, all that sort of stuff. Are there still secrets similar to Fractured Crown and Verdant Lakes, etc., that have not been found by players yet? No. The last one to be found was the I know there's something on the screen still. In End of Time, there's a way you can get the Spring In from the Lightless Arbor dungeon to move to the End of Time. That was the last one that was discovered. And I think that was the last one that was missing. Any way to use the right D-pad for WASD? Like on your keyboard, like the arrow keys? You should be able to remap those if you want. Just in settings. Gameplay, change input keys. You should be able to remap that. Yes, so these are we're making a couple updates to the Merchants Guild. So these are, I'll tell you right now, these are related to the Merchants Guild, but that's basically all I'm going to say about them. That is all I'm going to say about them. It's related to the Merchants Guild. So you will not be interacting with these as COF. You will only be interacting with these as Merchants Guild. And yeah, that's about it. There'll be more information and more details on these when Hype Week eventually starts. And you'll be able to see details on why we're adding this, what they do, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, this is something for the Merchants Guild. Who knows what it's going to be? Let's slam those down in the corner. Yeah, they can sit there. I'd love to see speculation on that, though. I love seeing wild ideas and stuff. So who thinks they know what it is? All right, wanted to check in with a suggestion I made. Any update on highlighting items in your inventory that match the loot filter rule with emphasize? No, that's still not something we can do. How old is Mike? I'm 36. I say I'm old, not that old, really. I have had a couple moments where I sometimes I'll look at games that are really popular right now, and I'm like, 10 years ago I could see myself being all in on that, like just right hooked, and now I'm looking at it going, I have no interest in playing that game at all. So I'm glad there's still games for us old farts. All right, sockets are a lazy way to go about itemization and is everywhere. I think there are really elegant ways to do it. I would rather see a runic system implemented where we can use it 2 or 3 on an item and make a runic book with all items. I would add this to suggestions tomorrow, explain in depth. Yeah, you need to expand on that a lot more. Sounds an awful lot like our crafting system. Hello, Mike. Question from Uber endgame players. I think it's what it's supposed to be. Uber endgame. Why does KOF, I think COF, not have a scale of prophecies from corruption over 1,000? Because that's sort of a wildly high. We don't really don't like content scaling above 1,000 corruption. Because most of our players do not feel the increase in the amount of affixes at 5,000 corruption. Yeah, that's something wrong territory. Why do you equate players of 1,000 corruption to 5,000 corruption? Why can't I get triple T7 items from the floor and not only from imprints or nemesis? There's a disconnect in expectations there, I think. I think with the this is one of those signposts of we don't expect players to hit 5,000 corruption. So you're far exceeding expectations in how high the corruption is. That's the simple answer. All right. Kesty Mortier, I am reading here. I promise. I am. As the person that replied just after, a little bit behind. I apologize. Frequently, I will have, usually I'll have someone helping me that is pulling questions, or I'm not actually reading from chat. But it goes a lot faster when that happens because I get the questions all on a wonderfully large spreadsheet on on the side. It will be a spreadsheet next week, hopefully. We're up in our game. But I will do my best to read the question. Let's see if there's a question I missed from you. I did answer your question. And a few little comments, which is fine. All right. When will we get the loot filter sounds? Well, we haven't really announced that we're specifically doing that yet. I don't think. But if we do that, the earliest it would happen would be season 3. I don't know if it'll be ready by then if we do it.
That was close.
Hey Mike, you 100% can put an item in the egg on Steam Deck. It can be a bit buggy at times. By holding the Steam button and using the trackpad, you can put it in the egg just like using a mouse if you are struggling with it the normal way. Wonderful. I have heard feedback of their issues with this. I just wasn't sure if it was possible or not. But person who wasn't able to do it, those are the instructions on how to do it. Hopefully that works for you. And yeah, this is the sort of thing that we are definitely looking at improving. And those are the types of things that we need to make sure are working smooth, and there aren't these pain points for any potential eventual console release. Like that's the sort of thing that we need to nail down and have be really good, because that like that possible maybe console experience, there are certain there's different expectations I think between players that are coming to PC and players that are coming to console. Or coming from console and coming from PC. And obviously everyone just wants everything to work perfectly. But when we can expect players to have other control interface options, like having a keyboard and mouse hooked up to the system, there's a little bit more leeway there, where it's at least you're not stuck. You're not just like completely out of the possibility of making something work. All right. Do you consider making sets of 5 to 6 items for more flexibility when gearing? Yes. Huge asterisks there. We've considered making sets with larger sets many times. Usually what it comes down to is we'll be like, okay, here's a 6-piece set, but 3 of the pieces are two-handed weapons. And so you can only ever equip 4 pieces at a time. Or here is a 6-piece set, but it is 2 gloves, 2 boots, and 2 relics, and you can only ever equip 3 of them at a time. Or here's a 6-piece set, but there only is a 2-piece bonus, and it's kind of like the 2-piece bonus is amazing, and each piece of the item set's not really that great, so it's sort of like pick your best 2 and equip them. And so we're really hesitant to incentivize equipping 6 pieces of a set all at the same time, especially when we have fewer item slots. So like Diablo, let's look at Diablo 3 as an example of hugely impact, like the far opposite end of the spectrum from what we have, where you have these sets that are 6-piece sets that are dictating gear builds that are such humongous bonuses that you're basically, not exclusively, but most builds, at least for when I was playing, were which set are you playing? It wasn't what build are you playing, it's which set are you playing. And it wasn't 100%, but pretty close. But they had pants on top of the items that we have, and they have shoulder pads and bracers. Is that right? Those 3 that we don't have anymore? Those 3 extra slots do add in a lot of extra item slots to work with for having bigger sets in general. So I think it's very unlikely that we would be putting that like a 6-piece set in, which is literally over half of your set pieces, or half of your item slots would be set items in a single set. I think it takes away a lot of the options. Now the new sets crafting system that we put in does make that a little bit more flexible and make there be a little bit more room for us to make larger sets. We're still having flexibility in that. And you know, like using Diablo 3 as an example, still Ring of Royal Grandeur helped a lot with that. Sorry for those that don't know, that was a unique ring that basically made it so that you needed 1 fewer set piece to get any set bonus. So in order to get the 6-piece set bonus, you only needed 5 pieces to the set. So So like an effect like that would also have a similar effect where we could make bigger sets. Do you plan on adding seasonal quests for rewards? Eventually, I think that's something that we probably will do, but we don't have any. Don't expect something for season 3 yet. Any thoughts on faction level up notification VFX? Right now, there is none. Really? Yeah. There is none. Wild. There should be. I think, okay, yes, okay. I remember why there's not. Most of the time when that happens, it happens when you have a menu open. So it's either happening in the background and we're not seeing it, or maybe we just figured it would happen in the background and not seeing it, so what's the point? But yeah, there isn't any. I remember that. I posted this on the suggestions forum, but can you please add a way so that don't see the help text when I accidentally mouse over a skill in the skill bar? You should talk to my friend. He's been bugging me about this for months now. Maybe a lock button next to the skills I can toggle on off. This always happens to me when I'm in a difficult fight, and it is extremely distracting. Like this one, you don't like that gigantic description of your health bar. This is the one I get bugged about a lot. I agree with you. We should probably have just a setting for just a complete like action bar tooltips. I think the like mountains endurance in the bottom right corner, you can't even see it because it's behind the thing I almost said the name of. This merchant guild thing, having the descriptions for a buff behind, in the bottom right corner like that, I think that could stay, but I think having just an option in the settings to turn off all of these tooltips down here so things didn't pop up would be probably very welcome. Ice Beetle, go! My Ice Beetle's better than your beetle. It's like the start of every Pokemon game right now. They'll get him, don't worry. It'll happen. Okay, taking too long. Next question. Will you add a champion woven echo where we can get a chance to imbue a champion affix on an item? I feel like there's a reason we don't do this. I can't think of what it is at the moment, but I'm pretty sure there's a reason we don't do this. So I'm going to say probably not, but maybe go put it in the suggestions channel. I see people are heavily RMTing on merchant skill with rare items, putting 1.5 billion. Do you track those? There is yeah, we have. What am I allowed to say? I'm not allowed to talk about this a lot. I'm not allowed to say the details of things we do. I would say it is very rare that people actually get away with stuff like that. That's the best way to say it. It's very easy to catch people for doing this sort of thing. All right, is there a chance we can get all the different item token symbols from the prophecies in the stash to help us sort better? Chance we get all the different item token symbols from the prophecies in the stash to help us sort better. Oh, yes. Yes, we're, took me a second, I got it. Yes, we are looking to add more sprites to, more icon images to the stash tab organization system. You're a handsome guy, but older than me, so I give up on that. Thank you. After trying some druid lately, any plans on expanding the champion affixes to have one for each skill? Probably not one for every skill, or maybe some Swarmblade form set in the planning. I know there's been... it's funny, Swarmblade's one that's been called out recently for not having enough specific stuff for it. So I can see there being room for something there. Maybe not necessarily as a champion affix, but yeah, you know, we're always looking so that people who are, how is this? I think if you're building a specific character type, if you're saying, hey, I want to build a Swarm Blade, having interesting options in each of the major categories of systems for itemization is really important. So having at least things that maybe it's not best in slot, but at least there's like options that are interesting that you're actively choosing not to take, at least, is, I think, important. All right, in Merchant's Guild results, could we get a P1 to P7 or S1 to S7 next to the item so we know if it's a prefix, suffix, level without having to look it up offline? If you, I'd have to go, I'm COF right now, so I don't know. You can't, like, is there no way to see the tiers like this on the item in the tooltip? Like this, it shows the tier in the range. I guess this is a better example. If this isn't possible to, if this information that you see right now in this item isn't possible to see in the Merchant's Guild UI, that's something missing that we should add. I think it should be there already. The person right after said already in game. Okay, I hope it's already there. Then you're saying you're in game, it's not there. So there, if it's not there, it should be there, and there's some disagreement on if it's there or not. I hope it's there, and it's just not clear how to get there, but it should be there. That's important information that should be available. You may have to hold Alt or Alt and Control to do it. Hey. Love your game, Mike. Can you please finish all the class skills? We're working on it. We're working on it. I'm finding Paladin exceptionally difficult to come up with a really slam dunk 5th skill for, personally. I don't know what that's gonna look like when we eventually get one. But I'm having, like, when we design new skills for things, quite often we'll say, okay, we're designing a skill for, like, when we're designing Heartseeker, we're like, okay, we're designing a rogue or a marksman skill to go in in the top half of marksman to be a locked skill. Oh, I've got a point. I have an unspent point. I can figure out what to put that in later. When we're designing Heartseeker, we said, like, we kind of put up the call to say, like, hey, everyone come up with an idea to pitch, and we'll have a session where we'll go through pitches, and then we'll discuss them, and we'll go away, and we'll come back, and we'll sort of like take out pieces from each one that we like, or if there's something that's really good, just run with it. You know, there's all sorts of different ways we go from there. But one of the things we do is we try and get ideas from many people on ideas there, and I've been trying to come up with a good paladin pitch and failing kind of miserably at it, which is unfortunate. Like, I put a lot of ideas down on paper. Every time I'm like reading them the next day and just not happy with them. So yeah, we're working on them. Skills are good. I love working on skills. Should come back to YouTube and answer some YouTube questions. I'm sorry, I've been neglecting you. To clarify, my first question is that there is no really point or greater reward for pushing higher corruption. I like D3 legendary gems that I loved leveling. Here it's just drops. Yeah, I mean, so there's specific things that unlock as you get into higher corruption. So like the blessings that are available at the end when you finish the boss, more slots are available once you go to higher corruption. More blessing options are delivered to you, so you can reroll those faster. I would equate those very similarly to legendary gems in D3. As you go higher, you're getting more options. They're maxing out faster, yada yada yada. It's not a direct one-to-one, but it's pretty darn close. And Yeah, like new. What else opens up? New woven echoes open up. Like certain woven echoes are only available at like 300 corruption, for example. I think the disconnect might be coming. I don't remember the first question. I'm sorry. It might be coming from, hey, there's no new things at 5,000 corruption. Yes, okay, 5,000 corruption is the equivalent of being like, okay, well, we're at Greater Rift. I don't even know what high Greater Rift numbers are right now, but we're at Greater Rift 5,000. I know that's way outside of the realm of possibility. You know, like, I think that's where the distinction is we've put rewards up to a certain corruption level, and then people have gone, okay, well, we're gonna add a 0 to that. Getting some damage on me there. Okay. More questions. Corruption is somehow good. 300 to 650, around those numbers. My question will be more related to features to do with stuff with empowered for items, as in some upgrades or... So this is the same question. Corruption is somehow good. 300 to 650, around these numbers. My question will be more related to features to do stuff with empowered for items. Sorry, I don't understand. As in some upgrades or... All right, next question. Loot filter for sounds when? Hopefully soon. We're no promises yet on exactly what the loot filter changes will be, but that is one thing that gets very heavily requested, and we are upgrading some loot filter options. Left bottom to the right of the symbols are circle, bottom half moon, square, star, double V, triangle, circle, the half circle under it. Tombs are always in the same place. Yes. I didn't know what you were talking about at first, and you got to the star, double V, and I'm like, I know exactly what this order is. Strange how I can't remember what I had for lunch, but bizarre trivia about 20-year-old games that just don't disappear. Yes. When D2R released, and we were playing through it, you know, it's like, it just comes flooding back. You don't even know that you know it. Can you pretty please let Warpath work without healing hands? Pretty please. I mean, I guess you're saying like make it so that it's strong enough to use without it. Maybe? Suggestions channel? I don't have any buff specifics things that I'm gonna promise or not promise here. Right. Hey Mike, can we get the Forge Guard set switched to a two-handed mace? Maybe low for either, or maybe low for either. Also, can we get some weapon flexibility on sets in general? It's possible that we could add like a new set piece to go in there, but I think it's very unlikely that we would add in two like have a set item be two different base types possible to drop. We do have the functionality to do that in game, but that's not the sort of thing that we're really interested in doing. As the set items themselves kind of tell a story in a sense, where it's like, this is the item that was used by this person in this situation, and it's not, oh, they used one of these two things, which is, I know it kind of goes against what I was talking about with set options earlier, but Scavenger is one of those ones that I've been considering trying to do instead of the belt that I'm using. Yes. I'm tanky. I love being tanky. Feels so good. All right. Hey, Mike, let's say if 5,000 corruption is far exceeding the expectations for the game, maybe it would be the right time to consider what to do with many players who do it every season and like to chase high corruption and invest more time into the game. Wovens, etc. was a step into the right direction, but ultimately it's still everything soft capped by corruption system. Maybe small rework would solve some issues for min-maxers. Yeah, I will. I do want to. I agree that there are players that are pushing the limits of the game, and we are actively looking for ways to provide more content to keep that engagement high without feeling like a requirement for players to be able to feel like they have engaged with all the content available, or at least most of it. I think realistically, what that means is in the situation of a lot of the very high tier builds, a lot of nerfs, which the people who most frequently get upset about nerfs, I think, are the people who have those really high tier builds. And it's hard to say like, here's some nerfs, it's in your best interest, I swear. That's a really hard pill to swallow, which is why you can still do 5,000 corruption. We haven't done that. And I think that there's, yeah, it is. Yeah, I can't. I don't really have much more details I can say about it right now, but I agree that there is that situation can happen. I guess the only thing to say is that the expectation of the percentage of players that hit 5,000 corruption, I think, is a lot lower than you might expect. Like, whatever percentage you're thinking of, move that decimal point a couple spaces to the left. Probably. If we're talking many players, it's a few players. Which is not, it's just, I want to be clear, it's not the justification for it working that way, but at all. But it is not the it is the exception, not the norm. Yeah. Oh, a lot of questions there. I hope it was just the conversation people were having. So randomly generated or static. There are some procedurally generated content in the game now. The tombs, if you find a tomb, I don't have one to go in here. The tombs in the cemeteries, those are procedurally generated content. Everything else is static. Individual echoes are static layout with procedural generation for the content layout inside. So there'll be like a dozen spawn points and a dozen objective points, and it will pick a random spawn point and a random objective type and a random objective spawn point, and it will sort of like position things differently in the same map, and then randomly place like enemies in that map. It'll randomly place like Nemesis and exiled mages and things like that in the map. And I almost said the name of a new content thing coming next patch. That was close. And so it'll shuffle things up a bit that way for a lot of stuff, but most content, most echoes, most like just maps that you're seeing, those are fixed layouts with procedural elements to them. And we are looking to take the tech that we made for procedurally generating tombs and cemeteries. That's something that we are looking to expand into other content in the future. This was just sort of our first try at it, and it went well. And so we're going to start using it in the future for more content. Earlier you talked about wanting to, I don't know how far behind I am. I'm possibly really far behind, and I think I might need to do a catch up a little bit here. Earlier you talked about wanting to make bleed and ignite to be more unique. What if bleed has had less dot but gives a stacking on hit bonus on the target? Bone curse. Increasing with stacks. For example, imagine you get a bunch of bleed on a target. They ain't moving, so they ain't bleeding. That would be a change to bleed right there. So you hit them, so they got to brace themselves, but due to the exertion of taking that hit, their blood sprays out the body, and thus making them take more damage. Yeah, so that's the theming around bone curse, basically. Which is why we don't make bleed that. All right. Can some boss drops be taken out of the pool once you pass a certain corruption level? For example, Siphon of Anguish removed to increase the chance of Shattered Chains or Apathy's mod drop. We do have the technology to make that happen. However, one of the big things that you get from, like, as you get higher corruption, you get more drops. It does also increase the chance of LP, and sometimes you're looking for high LP versions of those drops. And so we don't want to have just really Heavy's answer after half of these, and it's just like the exact same thing I'm saying. Heavy, can I just read your answers here? That might be easier than having to think about this myself. Because you nailed it. It's that, yeah, it's getting those 3 and 4 LP drops might be something that you want, and we can't predict what you want. Yeah. We do put certain like we try and put ways to help you influence drops so that you're finding more things that you want. But apart from just like putting in like a drop down menu, be like, nope, don't want this item. It's kind of hard to directly manipulate that. I'm not that far behind actually. My goodness. Wondrous. Wondrous. It's the beauty of the near the start of a PoE cycle or league. All right. Will you add more equipment slots like pants, pauldrons, cloaks, bracers? So we could have. What, did D3 have cloaks? Did I miss that? So we have more slots to customize for higher corruption and more sets. It's very unlikely that we'd add more items, more equipment slots. It is technically possible that we could do it. We have discussed it, Sammy, recently, like a year ago. I don't think it'll happen. I don't want to say it's impossible because like we changed our mind on so many things over the years, but I'd say it's extremely unlikely. Yeah. Will we be getting an estimated DPS of our minions like we do with other skills? We're working on it. It's not working yet, but that is something that is actively being worked on. I don't know if it's going to be ready in time for season 3. I hope so. I don't know though. Surprisingly tricky to make work. The problem is that it's really easy to make a version that is wildly unhelpful and actively will help you make wrong decisions. That's really easy to do. Unfortunately, that's worse than just having it not exist. Yeah. Will the team consider stat/level based like 3 HP per level? We do that. So yeah. Will we be Hammer of Laurent? Check that one out. Unique item. Will we be getting an estimated DPS? All right, so what is the philosophy behind negative effects? Is there the possibility of returning them in the future to open more build possibilities? By negative effects. I'm sure I don't quite know the context of negative effects, what you mean by that, but we put negative effects on all sorts of things. So like sometimes if a example, here's one. So like, no, it's kind of a medium negative effect. Here's a negative effect. This should be in red. Most of the time negative effects are listed in red. So this adds 3 seconds cooldown to the ability because it adds so much damage and so much recurve chance that it has a negative effect of 3 second cooldown added to it, because it is saying that, hey, I'm not going to spam Heartseeker, but I'm going to use Heartseeker and then use something else while this is on cooldown. Maybe if I have really good ICDRS, it's going to be just 1.5 seconds at 100%. And you're able to like your Heartseeker, a couple other things, Heartseeker, you're not spamming it relentlessly. It might not be a bad idea. Anyways. More question. I hunger for questions. Usually, what's the philosophy behind negative effects? Usually they need to be something that is an interesting build trade-off. So something that is that changes gameplay in some way, like adding a cooldown to an ability, or something that is forcing you to gear to mitigate that downside. Those are the sorts of negative effects we like, where you can play around them, so you can use the positive portion of the effect to maximum efficiency. It's like when you have a really the best example I can think of this is in Magic. So if you play Magic cards at all, there's quite often they'll be like so Ashnod's Altar is a card that lets you sacrifice a creature to add 2 mana to your mana pool. So you generate resources by sacrificing other resources. You're trading creatures for the ability to cast new spells. And it's interesting the way that I actually worded that initially. It says it lets you sacrifice a creature. So the the naive approach is you look at this thing and it says like, okay, the cost of getting this mana is sacrificing a creature, but in some situations the payoff is actually the fact that you get to sacrifice a creature because of how you've built the rest of your deck. And that's the sort of that's interesting negative effects that we'd like to try and have happen, where you're either mitigating the negative effects by, in the case of Magic we're talking about, where you're reanimating things, bringing things back from the graveyard, or where you have other effects that happen when it dies and you don't care if it dies, or something's already going to die and you're making it die early for this extra effect. So you're really not paying anything. You're mitigating the downside, or you're gaining advantage from the downside, is the sort of thing that we want people to be able to do with negative effects if possible. Like maybe there's certain examples where things will be like, okay, this ability costs more mana, but then you get bonus damage based on the amount of mana you spend on something. So like, yeah, it's a downside that you're spending more mana on it because it costs more. I'm talking in last Epoch now. But because you're spending more mana, you're dealing more damage. Played for 10 hours. Absolutely loving last Epoch. Thanks for making such a cool ARPG. You're welcome. Thanks for playing. Glad you're having fun. That's the best part. Will we be getting an estimated DPS minions? Yes, we're trying to. Hey, little question. When I play offline, my internet connection gets interrupted. Will I still be able to play, or do I need to start a true offline mode? If you're playing an offline character, once you are logged into the character, your internet connection can be disconnected and you will continue to play. There is no persistence required there for internet connection. Obviously, if you want to use things like your friends list to talk to friends and chat and ladder, reading the ladder and stuff like that only works when you're still connected. And if you become disconnected for too long, you can lose access to those services. It won't reconnect automatically. You have to restart to reconnect to those services. But playing the game and functionality therein will not. You can actively unplug your internet and keep playing, and it will still work. You don't need to launch in true offline mode to make that happen. Will the next season have a pinnacle boss? Details to come. I'm not going to answer that. I'm sorry. What about DLSS or performance issues, even high-end systems? Yeah, so we are in the middle of rolling out Unity 6, which is going to help with that. Even more, like there was pretty significant bonuses there when we went at the last upgrade, and the next one's going to have even more. And yeah, we're looking at upgrading better performance, new technology, stuff like that. Yeah, we're doing all stuff like that. Dude plays an Aristocrats deck. I do have a very efficient Aristocrats deck. Original Athreos, God of Passage. So good. So good. All right, a couple more questions here to finish off from Twitch. We're gonna go a little bit over time, and that's fine. Hey, Woven stuff feels like it'd be here to stay. Yes, it is. Are you looking at the spirit barrage of possessed monsters? Once I hit 750 corruption, it starts one-shotting my 4.5k HP, very tanky Void Knight, even for small white mobs, and that it hits instantly too. Yeah, I mean, there's things that can there's probably some things that need to be some rebalanced at higher corruption in general. Yeah. Siphon drops have no effect on the other uniques from shades either. One shade can drop all 4 uniques. Yes, that is true. Can I take Kane's job next week? I'll ask him. I doubt he'd be opposed to it. All right, any plans on adding currency that can be used on echoes similar to scarabs in PoE? Nothing specific for season 3.
Easy. Too easy.
All right. What do you think about a compendium-like feature for browsing existing legendary and set pieces? It would be cool to be able to browse these items just to see the descriptions and item graphics / art. I'd love to do a bestiary and item bestiary. I don't know how to pronounce it. I never know. I always second guess myself. But having like a it's the Pokedex effect, you know, like okay, I've seen this one, and it gives you like a little bit of information, and then you've like I've picked it up and you get the full information, that sort of thing. Like that would be, it doesn't work quite as well in an RPG setting, but I'd love something like that. Yeah, I'm in. I think there's an element of discovery that I love about not having all of the all the possible items available directly in game, because it does get a little bit meta and a little bit databasey and a little bit like non-diegetic. I'd rather it be a like something that your character is like discovering and learning, and that sort of thing could persist season to season maybe, but like I don't know, I like that it's not that there is a way to play purely in the game without going to other websites. And we do try and keep as much, this is sort of contradictory, so something that I say a lot is that we try and keep functionality that people want to use frequently in the game. We try not to say like, okay, here's something that people are trying to use a lot, okay, go to this other website to do. We try and avoid that as much as possible, but sometimes it's worthwhile and sometimes it works better. So I don't know, maybe. I have a game mechanics question about Chaos Bolts. I noticed it completely lacks an estimated DPS number, similar to Minions. Does it really? That's surprising. That's really surprising. Is the program logic implemented similar to Minions, where each bolt is a separate spell object in the world, contrasting with something like Ice Barrage, which does have estimated DPS toolset numbers? No, it works extremely similarly to Ice Barrage, which is a separate object for each one. So you like the way you described Chaos Bolts is how Chaos Bolts and Ice Barrage both work. Yeah, I don't. There's no reason why Chaos Bolts shouldn't have one. I don't think. Will set items stay not that just please bug report that. Will set items stay not able to put on legendaries? Yes. Was very happy when Shatter set items was put into the game. Make some fun builds until I realized they're still worthless. I think worthless is a far cry from. I mean, okay, so the maximum potential of power available on them right now compared to set items or legendaries is difficult to justify them. Yes, I agree with that. There are certain situations where some set items still shine and they're still very good. They're few and far between, and it mostly stems from the power level of set items that already existed in the game, and that how those had not been updated to current standards when we changed the set system, more than anything else. And so I think we're going to see updates to the set system, or to the individual set items, causing them to be more viable with endgame builds in the future, before we see any sort of change to allow set affixes to appear on legendary items. Part of the issue there is just from a thematic standpoint, like there's just so many items. There's a story behind a set item and there's a story behind a unique item, and cramming those two stories together is problematic. And also we would like to have incentives for different items to show up. We want your character sheet to be a bit of a rainbow, you know, and having some legendaries, maybe a super high tier unique that you can't get LP on yet, maybe a reforged set item, maybe there's a super high tier exalted item, maybe like, so having different items types on your character at min-maxed is, I think, ideal. And so one way that we want to incentivize that by restricting certain content to certain options to legendaries and not legendaries. So I think it's very unlikely that we will change that, and I think it is very likely that you will see reasons to play set items more in the future. Excuse me, losing my voice a little bit. Can we please get more wands? Mad Alchemist Ladle is the most OP wand. I want to use other meta wands. Maybe. Have 100 plus hours and love the game, but wish the best master could summon a it says Beastmaster. Beastmaster. Whoa. Goodness me. That is... Someone is at my front door right now. This is the first time I've heard that ring. That scared me. We just got one of those doorbell cameras. Oh, no one's there. That's weird. That scared me a little bit. Okay, well, we are a little bit over time, and I'm going to end soon here. I'm just going to burn through a couple of these. Are you working on fixing bugged one-shot Uber builds? Yes. And on that terrible disappointment, it is time to end. I hope you had fun. I know I did. I will be back same time, same place next week. However, week after that, I think we're taking a week off, and the week after that, there'll be someone else filling in for me. So you'll see me next week, and you won't see me again until like the 18th of July. but I'll be around on Discord and such, and got lots of fun stuff coming down the pipe, and very excited to share about. We're in this sort of like weird stage where I just want to tell you everything and I'm not allowed to yet, but soon, hopefully. So let's go find someone to say hi to, because there's always someone to say hi to. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Yeah, have a great week, everybody. And yeah, drink lots of water. Bye.